Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
This is a Lip Media podcast.
Is it Black Lives Matters or hashtag All Lives Matters? Coming up today on the show, we break down why thousands of people around the world are protesting against the police and why it matters. And later on the show, a former Miss Universe contestant is in hot waters after saying black protesters chose to be born black. And finally, what is the Asian black problem? Each week we dissect the conversations Asian millennials are having. Don't go anywhere because you're listening to Lemon.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Lemon. As always, my name is Phillip Kuoch.
And my name is Thomas Tan.
And this week we found out something interesting. Your mum has been following us on Instagram under a secret alias, and apparently she doesn't like our podcast cover because it's a bit explicit.
I don't know whether she has an alias. I don't think she has an Instagram account, but I just think that she saw our Instagram picture cover and she wasn't too pleased.
Yeah, and so if you guys don't already know, our podcast cover is a picture of us half naked, holding a cup of tea.
With the sunflower in your hair.
With the sunflower in my hair, and she said that was a bit explicit and not family friendly.
She said that she didn't like my direction of the video shoot. Not video shoot, the image shoot.
And she said that we should like retake it. So it got me thinking, if she was to direct it, what do you think she would make us do? Like, what would her vision be like? Because she's your mom and you know her best, so tell us.
First of all, she'll make us wear clothes, a t-shirt.
Button-up t-shirts.
She'd probably go with like a very regime kind of outfit. So, button shirts, make sure our hairs are really nice and neat. Maybe our office white kind of shirt. Background's really plain, but absolutely no personality, no color whatsoever.
Actually, no. It's because your mum is really into antiques and ancient stuff from the op shop and stuff. From my head, I see her making us dress in like traditional Chinese outfits or traditional Japanese outfits in like a kimono. Is that what it is?
Kimono. Not the Kim Kardashian one, the other one. But yeah, us wearing those traditional outfits, and then I think that would be her vision of. I wouldn't mind because we just changed our introduction music just very recently as well, and maybe it could go with our very Asian theme. So let's have a look into that.
So we can't start the show this week without discussing what's happening in the US and around the world. As you probably are aware, the murder of George Flloyd by the police has ignited the Black Lives Movement, with thousands of people taking it to the streets to protest against police brutality and the centuries of oppression against black people. For the most part, the protest has been, very peaceful, but in some cases it has become a bit violent, and looters who were not a part of the protest were breaking into shops and businesses to loot. Tom, this week you asked me early in the week about the riots and the protests, but we didn't really discuss about it because I wanted to save the discussion for the podcast. I want to know, what do you think about what's happening, in the world right now? Do you think it's productive, or is it just considered outright violence and criminal, like some people are saying?
Like, as in like the looting and the riots?
I guess
or just everything in general?
Just everything in general is what's happening.
No, I reckon that given the situation, there's been so many centuries of oppression, people in America, people of darker skin color have been victims of so many things. Like George Floyd is just the peak of an iceberg of hundreds, even thousands of other lives who have been mistreated in America, even in Australia as well. I reckon that people who are focusing on the riots and the lootings aren't really addressing the issue. Yes, riots and the looting of small businesses isn't the best thing during this situation, but there's always going to be people who are going to do that.
And there's so many people out there who are saying, why can't they protest peacefully? And what have we learned from the last few decades? People have been protesting silently and peacefully. And what has it gotten us? It has gotten us nowhere. Yeah, and so there was an interview that one of the news reporters did with a protester, and he said something that really I just really agreed on. He was like, we've been protesting calmly for the last couple of decades and nothing has changed. And the only way we're going to have meaningful change is if we make people uncomfortable. And what they're doing right now is making people uncomfortable. And that's what's starting these discussions about change.
Absolutely. And it's like people who are, oh my gosh, don't get me started on hashtag All Lives Matter as well. A lot of the time with what's happening, a lot of people who are focusing just on the bad things that are happening is you're missing the message. You're missing the points. Yes, there's going to be riots. Yes, there's going to be looting. Yes, you can say hashtag All Lives Matter all you want, but that isn't the problem. The problem is racism still exists, and all lives matter won't matter until Black Lives Matter.
We need to talk about what's happening right now. And the analogy that's going around at the moment about the All Lives Matter thing, it's like, for example, if your house was burning down and you were calling the fire brigade and your neighbor is like, oh, why are you helping them when I also have a house? But it's like, you're not having the issue right now. It's your neighbor who's having the house burnt down, who's not being taken care of. They're the one that needs the help right now.
But my house is on fire. Hashtag my house is on fire. All houses matter.
Yeah, and I think we see this a lot when there's other protests. For example, like when the Women's March, for example, and people were like, oh, well, what about guys? What about men? And I'm like,
sit down. It's not your turn yet. You know, it's all about what's happening right now. Even though George Floyd is the catalyst of everything that's happening right now, there's all the other stories. Like, you have so many other lives that have been taken by police brutality. One of them is Breonna Taylor. So her story is actually quite, I'm not going to say interesting, but it's actually really sad. So she is a ER technician, and yesterday would have been her 27th birthday. So on March 13th, what happened was the police have been investigating that there's been a lot of drug issues with certain people within that area. So they went to the judge, and the judge signed a warrant allowing police to search her house because they believe that her house is actually been used to, export-import drugs activity or whatever. So the judge issued a no-knock warrant, which means police can enter her boyfriend's house, without warning or identifying themselves. So what happened was that night on March 13th, in the middle of the night, that's so stupid. The police knocked on her, didn't even knock on the house, came to her house in a non-registered vehicle, bursted in and started, obviously if this is happening, her boyfriend got up, was like, what the heck is happening? Thought that it was robbers coming into their house and started shooting towards them, obviously like a person would do. On top of that, he had a licensed gun as well, which is okay. So as soon as he started shooting, the police reacted by shooting 22 times, hitting 8 times at Breonna Taylor, killing her.
And that is just one of the hundreds and thousands of stories that happen to Black people. And it just... the image that we see coming out in America right now, the police having military gear. Like, why do you need military gear against your own people? Like, why do they have these equipment when, for example, during the coronavirus, the doctors in the States couldn't even get masks or protective gear? Like, this just goes to show that there's too much power in the police force and authority right now. And why are they bringing military in people to hold these protesters down and not allowing them to protest peacefully?
I have a question. What are your thoughts on white celebrities or white people who are now protesting about the Black Lives Movement? To me, right, it's a very hard situation. There's no right or wrong answer. But what I'm seeing a lot on social media, that if someone is protesting for Black Lives Matter, someone of an important figure, they are getting dragged for it. It's like, why didn't you speak up before? Why are you speaking up now? If they don't do anything about it, why aren't you saying anything about it? Why aren't you doing anything now? Emma Watson got dragged. Did you know that?
Oh, what did she say?
Emma Watson, of all people, she's one of the most humanitarian celebrities out there, but they dragged her.
Yeah, she's like how you have national treasures. She's like the world's treasure.
She's the world's treasure, and right now, if you are white, it's very hard to voice a genuine opinion because people who have been attacked from a racial point of view, they don't need another white heroic person to speak on behalf of them. They needed them to listen on and the reason why I use them and is because it has been an us against them situation for centuries of years. And Black people of our skin color, brown, yellow, whatever color, have been trying to address this issue for so long. And if white people want to step in now and show that heroic act, that's not what they're looking for, if that makes sense.
I totally understand like the white savior mentality, but at the same time, if we are going to want change to happen, especially amongst white people, honestly, they're only going to listen to their own people. So if we don't have these influential white celebrities saying these things or listing and directing them to, read more about this issue, they're not going to listen. They only listen to to themselves. And we've learnt that from, years and decades of entertainment and media.
Which is, again, it's a very hard issue. There's no black or white answer for this as well.
On the flip side, though, another celebrity that's been getting dragged a lot this week is Lea Michele from Glee.
Yeah.
And this has got me thinking, like, is this the new Me Too movement? Because if you haven't heard about Lea Michele and what's happening with her at the moment, she tweeted out saying that pretty much just like, protesting against...
in support of
racism and what's happening right now. And one of her co-stars, Sammy Ware, responded to that tweet and she was like, LMAO, laughing my ass off. Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? Because I'll never forget it. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity, you would sit in my wig. Shit in my wig. Amongst other traumatic microaggression that made me question a career in Hollywood. And that was just the floodgate. Several other co-stars from Glee came out in support and tweeted their experiences about working with Lea Michele. And she's come back and responded. And like, to her credit, she responded very quickly.
You know what? Usually when these things happen, I tend to because now cancel culture has been so prevalent in our culture now because everybody has free time. Everyone's locked in the house. So pretty much have nothing better. But this is kind of a good thing that's happening. People are holding people of their past actions accountable. And you know what? I do believe every word that Sammy is saying, plus what her co-stars is saying. Because Lea Michele, she is the star of Glee as well. But we tend to give people a bit of the benefit of doubt. This comes back to the situation where we had it with Reynolds, but the allegations, things that he did say, comes back with that family who adopted that kid from China as well. We tend to give people a lot of the benefit of the doubt, but most of the time that these things, when they do happen, it tends to be true.
You're right. I think these things do happen. And Lea Michele, she probably doesn't realize that she's being... doing these things because a lot of the times, and I can't say that people we know around us are innocent either. Like, we probably have these microaggressions and do say casual racist things without even realizing that they are. And this whole situation has had the world have a hard look at itself. And even in Australia, for example, we forget that our Indigenous Australians face the same microaggressions. It's the same things that happen to black people in America. More than 400 people have died in police custody over the last, couple of decades, and no one speaks about it.
But the thing is, like, good point that you bring up things about what's happening in Australia about the Indigenous population. And people are complaining, like, why is everyone so focused on America? What about the Hong Kong protests? What about the protests that's happening in Australia about Indigenous Australians? What about protests that's happening in another country? America is the center. They are seen as the entertainment center, the things that do happen. And inevitably, what is going to happen is if things don't turn out well for the Black Lives Matter in America, the whole world's going to turn to shit because our lives is based around America, whether we like it or not.
And also, if you live in America, if you're one of our listeners and you live in America, please go out and vote because your vote makes not only a difference to your life, but to everyone around the world because America is seen as, the leader of the, free world. So if America collapses, we all collapse. So please go out and vote in November. Do it for everyone else in the world.
Let's take a live look now outside. Ladies and gentlemen of America.
Ariana Grande lick and spit on the merchandise.
There can be 100 people in the room.
Leave Britney alone. Catch me outside. How about that?
Rise and shine.
China.
On to the next topic. Last week, Malaysia's former Miss Universe Samantha Katie posted an Instagram story about George Flloyd saying that black people should relax. And this is what she said. To black people, relax. Take it as a challenge. It makes you stronger. You chose to be You chose to be born as a colored person in America for a reason.
Oh, that was even hard to read. It sounded like something
I had to digest that for a little bit. To learn a certain lesson, accept it as it is. Till now, hunger and poverty still exist. It is what it is. It is inevitable. Best you can do is remain calm, protect your heart, and don't allow it to crumble. Okay, besides her poor English skills, that's your responsibility. Of course, this is to the ones who understand this level and state of mind. Not for everyone. Everyone grows at a different rate. Okay, that was really difficult to read, like grammar-wise.
I think we should have maybe helped her fix the grammar a bit, but I think it was really important that we retain how that was posted out. But it was one of these things you read and you're just like, oh my God, it's getting worse and worse. Like she's digging herself a bigger and bigger hole here.
I sent this to my friend Melissa and she said, I had to meditate for 30 minutes after reading that. I couldn't understand what she was saying. For starters, you were born to be black. You were born to be black. What does that even mean? You know?
And then she said you chose to be born to be black, to be a colored person.
Sorry, yeah, you were born. You chose to be
a colored person. Okay, let's talk about this because do you think this just comes down to like a language thing? Like maybe because her English isn't good, she's not getting her, I guess, like what she's trying to say out there.
Again, we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, even though her English isn't the greatest. The fact that she brought up about people, having poverty, people in Africa, people who are starving, it's watering down the issue that's happening right now. It's like saying this isn't a big problem. It's the same thing with the fire issue. This isn't a problem. Let's talk more about poverty. These things are inevitable. She's saying that poverty is inevitable. Being mistreated as a black person is inevitable. That's the thing that I had a bit of issue with. But the fact that she also said on top of that, you chose to be a colored person, that doesn't make sense.
Another thing is, like, after she posted this, obviously there was heaps of people messaging her saying this is not on.
Her friends even messaged her, can you believe it? And she put her friends on blast on Instagram.
Yeah, and she consciously chose to respond to that and not clarify if it was a language barrier thing. She chose not to clarify what she was trying to say and just further dug herself into a bigger hole.
Does she have a PR team, you reckon, or a PR agency?
Look, I'm just going to go, if she has a PR team, she needs to get a new one.
Like, she kept the story, like, when things went viral, she kept the story up. She didn't take the story down. And she continued to dig herself in a bigger hole by posting even worse things after that as well. Because she then apologized afterwards. Her apology is, I do hear you. I'm sorry. I know you're hurting. I know it's unfair. I'm not in your shoes to understand this fully. Furthermore, you asked me to explain what I meant by black people chose to be black. Is that throughout my journey, I have learned that we are more than just this temporary physical body, like an avatar, merely a tiny speck of dust in this vast, infinite universe. I'm just going to stop there.
What is she smoking?
I don't know. But if you continue to read her apology, right, it is pretty much like a sorry not sorry .mp3 by Demi Lovato. It is, I'm sorry that I got caught in what I said. I'm not really sorry. I'm going to spit out some bullshit just to confuse everybody else a little bit more. And then she goes in by saying, yes, my mother is Chinese Malaysian. Father is Brazilian. And my foster parents who raised me up are Indian Malaysian.
Okay, and?
Yeah, exactly. What makes me fired up about this, besides her stupidity, is the fact that she's now taking Bible quotes to support her arguments.
Yeah.
And this pisses me the fuck off so much. As Christians, as I am a Christian, we already get so much backlash, and she is a very spiritual person. I don't know what kind of spiritual person she is, but the fact that she's now using the Bible to back up her quotes, it's not going to leave a great taste in people's mouth who already do not like people who are religious.
Yeah. And she's, right after she posted those things, she started posting all these inspirational quotes and how you should be compassionate and stuff like that. And then, well, where's her compassion toward black people then?
And on top of that too, can you believe it? She gained over 20,000 followers in the last, actually now, 25,000 followers now in the last week because of the issue. And I hope that people who are following her is following for the tea, not for her, what she's standing up for.
So what else has happened? Because you've been following the stories. So what has happened to her after she made this post?
So a lot of people contacted the Miss Universe organization. So they released a statement saying that we do not believe the view that she has. Her reign has actually stopped a year after she got crowned Miss Universe Malaysia. So they're not really affiliated with her anymore, but they took it down from her official website. On top of that, Samantha has also been like, I'm not for violence, violent isn't in me. There's another video that somebody dug up of her in another country being violent. Like, she did the whole Lisa Renner thing. Don't you dare fucking touch me. Your country's disgusting. Fuck you, Malaysia's better than your country.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she was actually like pushing people, and given the situation it's just, she's dumb. She's stupid. On top of that, she also lost her blue tick on Instagram, which I can see she got back, which wasn't,
did she lose it? Oh,
she
got
lost
it back.
it, but then she got it back. I don't know why they gave it back to her when she's stupid. Just a question. What are your thoughts on people who don't share anything, who are just silent?
No, I have mixed opinions about this. I've been sharing a lot of stuff on my my private Instagram with my friends and family, and I think everyone has the responsibility for us to say something, because this is not just a black and white issue, black and white person issue. It's all of us, and it affects every aspect of our life. And we've come to a point now where in America, the police has so much authority and power. They have military grade equipment that are used for war. Why do they have it if their job is to only keep their civilians and they keep the people in America safe? They're not at war. Why are they at war? And this is about Black Lives Matter, but it's also about police brutality and what's happening with the police force right now. And I think we need to say something. Otherwise, no change is going to happen. What are your thoughts?
On people who are silent about this topic?
Yeah.
I think there is this Black Lives Matter hashtag BLM is a trend. And there's a lot of people who I do know personally who actually do not give a shit about this, but yeah, are still posting about it. Whether or not, if that's how they generally feel, isn't up for me to decide whether or not they do care about it. But the fact they are posting about it, I think it's good.
It's good.
Because who knows that they have people who don't know about the situation as well. I think being silent also isn't a bad thing as well, because people are processing things in their own ways. People have to support in different ways. Some people may speak about it in person to their family members, to their brothers and sisters and friends in person, and aren't very a social media type of person. Other people don't really do that, and their voice is through social media. So I don't think that there is a right or wrong way to show support. But I do think, like you said, we do need to push for this.
And do you think a lot of people are sharing it because they feel like if they don't say something, it makes them look bad?
100% agree. I felt like that too. I felt that even though I do share the same view about it, and even though, we do have a podcast and we're going to talk about it on podcast, if I don't post something now, am I going to get cancelled too? It's like one of those things that, am I posting based on politics or based on how I generally do feel? Even though I generally do feel about this, am I posting about this at my own time, or am I posting on because people want me to post or people want other people to post it?
And it's interesting because initially, I shared a lot of stuff about this as well, but at the time when I did share, I haven't really processed how I thought about it. And usually when I share things, I really like to think about why I'm sharing this, because I know that when we share things, it might influence someone's, thoughts about something. So when I do share something, I want to make sure that it's thoughtful and it's impactful. But I did feel a bit of pressure at the beginning to just share something. I did know that we were going to speak this on the podcast, so I knew that we were going to publicly share something anyway. But yeah, I felt like there was a bit of pressure to share something at the beginning.
All in all, this is a movement that Lemon Podcast truly does support. Don't focus on the riots, don't focus on the looting. Yes, there are going to be outliers who is trying to mess it up for everybody else, but the important message is all lives won't matter until Black Lives Matter.
We'll be back shortly after a few words from today's sponsors.
At William & Mary, we believe today's business education needs to be more than just innovative. It requires a legacy of success, a focus on teaching, an emphasis on technology, and a practical hands-on approach. At William & Mary's Raymond A. Mason School of Business, our online, part-time, and traditional full-time graduate programs apply these strengths to provide the experience necessary to help you succeed. Visit us at chatadmissions.com to learn more.
Want to make $50 in 5 minutes? It's easy. Go to allofusfinancial.com and sign up for a free trading account. Boom, $50. Free trades and $50. Need more reasons? How about this? Other online brokerages make so much money off of your free trades that they don't need to charge you because they're pocketing all that profit. At All of Us Financial, your trades aren't only free, we share those profits with you. Visit allofusfinancial.com today. For a limited time, open up a qualifying account and get $50. $50, 5 minutes. All of Us Financial. Start saving money on your trades today. All of Us Securities, member FINRA SIPC.
In need of hearing some inspiring women tell their inspiring stories? The Nasty Woman Club is the place to go. Every week, I, myself, Demi Lynch, speak with women from all walks of life, including a cancer survivor, trans activists, and entrepreneurs and body-positive spokeswomen from all across the world. So make sure you tune in for your dose of intersectional feminism and woman empowerment. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Okay, I think we need to really, pause for a second and really take this moment to have a conversation about how we have a black problem in Asia and Asian culture. And, a lot of us, we're children of immigrants. A lot of our parents came from, from overseas as immigrants to Australia, and growing up as first generation Asian Australians or Asian Americans or whatever, we do have a bit of a language barrier when it comes to having these conversations with our parents. So there's been a bit of a movement, or a pretty big movement actually, of people writing translated open letters in different languages like Vietnamese, Chinese, Cambodian, a lot of Asian languages, so that people can share those with their parents and get their parents to understand why Black Lives matters and why this movement is really important. So it got me thinking, I want to know, have you had any conversations at all with your mom about what's happening at the moment?
Actually, it's a good thing that you did bring that up, because I never really spoke much about my mom about racial issues. And within the Asian community, it's a pretty open thing that a lot of Asians, East Asians, don't like Black people. It's a very given thing as well. And I think it started, my mum's views on Black Lives Matter is actually quite strong, but I think it's only strong because of the coronavirus issue, which caused a lot of racism towards Asian people, which got her to understand a lot more what's happening. And it gave her a bit more of a mindset shift, the amount of things that Asian people are going through in the coronavirus now, and for many, many years before that as well. If you magnify it 1,000 times, that is what Black Lives Matter is on a grand scheme of scales. It comes down not just about pandemics, but it's about your lifestyle, jobs, careers, just living a fruitful life. And having a discussion with her this week, it made me realize how her mindset has changed because of the coronavirus.
And like you said, we talked a lot about the racism that people were facing because of the coronavirus in our community, in the Asian community. And I can't even begin to imagine how Black people have lived with this for centuries, leaving their homes and fearing for their lives that they're going to get pulled over by the police and get shot. Like, I cannot even begin to imagine how to feel like that on a daily basis.
Have you talked to your parents about Black Lives Matter yet?
Well, I don't live with my parents anymore, so I don't get to see them as often. But I do know that not just my parents, but a lot of parents in the Asian community, and we're going to dig into this a bit deeper as well. Asian people are very racist, but we don't talk about it.
100%.
And, we don't have to look far. You can, for example, look in
Korea,
you look at how all the celebrities are promoting white skins and fair skin, and how celebrities who are tan, they're less likely to make it or debut as an artist because of their skin color.
Now that you brought up beauty standards as well, it reminds me of a video that I saw by, I think her name was Tonya TKO. So this lady, she has her own show on Facebook. You guys should check it out. It's beautiful the way that she speaks about things which do matter. So on her show that she actually reviewed a video of this Japanese guy who actually went to go get curls in her hair, like an afro curl. And her question was, is this appreciation or appropriation? So she spoke a little bit about how with beauty standards, you can see now with trends, Black people Black women especially, they do have naturally more higher cheekbones. They have more of a glowy kind of, oh, your shine, I love that shine on your face. What do they call it? Glow? Or kind of like...
Highlight.
They have that natural highlight that people want to go for. They also have, the very tiny waist and the very accentuated kind of a bigger booty, which a lot of guys do like. And she explains how within white culture and white pop culture, they're taking a part of aspects of Black people, what they do, like, oh, I love your corner, let's take that. Oh, I love your fat lips, so let's take that. Oh, your bigger booty, yes, I want a fat ass, let's take that. But then they kind of take it for their own, claim it as their own, and they don't want to take the parts that they don't like. Like, Black people do have more naturally wider nostrils as well. So within beauty standards, like you said, in Asia as well, it's so prevalent that we also strive as a culture to look more like Caucasian, like white people. We want the smaller nostrils. We want the taller noses. We want the bigger eyes, more fairer skin. And it's quite sad that a lot of people don't see how the Black culture has influenced not just only white people, but Black people, Asian people as well within the music and pop culture entertainment industry.
100%. And, Black music and Black celebrities are loved by everyone around the world, but we choose the ones that we want to love and the ones we want to hate or not like. We love our Black celebrities, but when it comes to Black people,
and Black issues,
we choose to ignore them.
Yeah. And
there are so many examples in Asia, and I can just give you a few now, where Asian people have been racist towards Black people. And we don't even have to go that far. Like, just a few months ago during the coronavirus, a Chinese McDonald's restaurant banned Black people because they thought Black people were full of diseases. And then just only a year ago, during a Lunar New Year festival, China aired a segment, a Chinese TV
I
aired a
remember the
segment.
chopstick one.
Yep, with an African woman, a Chinese actress dressed as an African woman in blackface. And
oh wait, this isn't the chopstick one. Which one was this one?
This is only like last year, I think, and it was just like a Chinese New Year Lunar festival. They got a Chinese actress to blackface an African woman and saying, "Oh, I love China" and stuff like that.
What the heck?
And
what kind of propaganda is this?
And they refused to apologize for that.
Even who's that guy? I think Jay Chow hosted one of those Halloween parties. Not Jay Chow.
Oh, we spoke about this just a few months ago.
He did blackface.
Yeah.
Like, he dressed up as Will Smith.
It was one of Jay Chow's friends.
One of Jay Chow's friends. I can't remember what his name was.
Will Xiao or something like that, yeah.
And he blackface and dressed up as Will Smith. And a lot of the times, I think what's happening within Asian culture, actually, Tanya raised a really good point. We're in this bubble. We don't know what's actually happening a lot within the Black culture and the issues that's going on. Like, even for Japanese people, right? They don't know where their curls originated from. They thought that they started the curls because when she was in Japan, she lived in Japan, and they asked her, "Where do you get your curls from? How do you make your curls so curly?" And then she's like, "What do you mean? This grows out of my scalp. Like, this is my natural curls." And they were shocked to hear it. They're like, "What? What do you mean? Like, how do you're saying that the curls that we make for our Japanese people to look like to have the Afro haircut, you do this naturally?" And they were so shocked to hear it because they're so disenfranchised of what's happening outside of the world. And now if you look into music and hip hop as well, a lot of Asian culture who embrace that hip hop culture, you look at the top charts in China right now, in Japan, their hip hop culture is massive. The way they dance, the way they look, the way they speak, the way they rap is taken from Black culture. And like you said, you can't just take all the great things and when Black culture does get a hit from everybody else, you can't just piss off. Back to what you were saying, though, within Asian culture and racism as well, I do agree that I'm not sure about Cambodia, but Malaysia and Singapore do show a lot of racism to people who are of darker skin color as well.
Yeah, because in Singapore, there's a lot of Chinese people, there's a lot of Malaysians as well, and a lot of Muslim people, and the fairer the skin you are, the more privileged you are in the society.
But the thing about Malaysia is a little bit different from Singapore, though. People who are Malay in Malaysia, they do have a lot more access to government grants, which is why a lot of the times people who are Chinese, people who aren't Malay, or they call it the land of people of the land, they don't necessarily like them because of the segregation. So it's a bit of like it's polar opposite what's happening. But if you have a look at in Singapore as well, there is a lot of racism towards Indian people, racism to a lot of Malay people. The Chinese people in Singapore are quite high up in terms of status, which is really, really sad.
And then my family's from Cambodia, so it's only right that I need to give them a shout out about what happens there. And I've been to Cambodia maybe like, I used to go every couple of years when I was younger. And the things that I've noticed in that society is that if you have fair skin, you walk in a shopping center, people will automatically think that you're rich and they will treat you 100% differently to how they'll treat someone that's darker skin. And literally, if you're dark skinned in Cambodia, they call you Akamal, which means literally black person. And
what was it?
Akamal.
Akamal.
Yeah. And that literally means black person. And it's not even a nice way. It's like literally degrading.
Wow.
So if anyone ever calls you that, it's in a very degrading way. It doesn't mean a good thing. And I don't know, there's so many examples of all the racism that exists in Asia, but we don't talk about it because we guess we see that it's a black and white thing?
We're afraid to make other people uncomfortable. By us calling it out, we're making someone feel uncomfortable towards us. And we're very passive, race. We're very like, oh, don't look at me, I just want to do my own thing. I just want to live a very long life.
So what do you think needs to happen then for the world as a society to change? Like what changes do we need to see for it to have impact in America, in Asia, in all parts of the world?
I think people just need to take accountability. Oh my, I just got a flashback. Shit, I just got a...
Oh my God, I can see it. It's like you're going through a white flashback.
No,
right
I just got a flashback about when you talk about skin color. Even I didn't realize back then too. Okay, one of my really good friends, Marsha, listens to the podcast, and she's Sri Lankan. And she's always been very, back when we were probably in uni days, like you were saying, the whiter the skin color, the better looking you are, the more pale you are. Same thing within Indian culture as well. With Sri Lankan culture as well. The more fair skin color you are, people think that you're more beautiful. So back in uni, okay, this is going to sound terrible, and I'm sorry for saying this, Marsha. This is my fault, what I did. So she was looking to brighten her skin color. And in the Philippines, because a lot of people who are, same thing in Philippines, the darker skin color, the uglier you are, they say. The more fairer you are, the better whatever you're going to have, more success in life. So there's a soap called papaya soap that you can buy in the Philippines. And what it actually does that if you use the papaya soap, it actually makes your skin color lighter. It makes you less brown. So she asked me, I want to lighten my skin color. And you know what I told her? Why don't you try the papaya soap?
Oh my gosh.
How messed up. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Well, why did she want to lighten her skin anyways?
Because she felt that society is telling her that darker skin color isn't beautiful.
Yep.
And me not knowing much, me obviously not being educated back then about it, would be, because I did it myself too. My sister introduced the papaya soap to me. And even though the papaya soap makes you break out like as hell, like you get so many pimples, we don't care. We just want to be fairer. Because I was a very dark child growing up, but my skin lightened up quite a lot when I got older. So I was like, if you honestly want to get a lighter skin color, you try the papaya soap, which is stupid, and that shouldn't have been the answer. And I regret that to this day.
I think these are the sort of things that we don't realize how, color, how we place so much emphasis on the color of our skins in Asian culture.
And you know what's funny? In the opposite spectrum, why people want to have darker skin color. So again, they're picking and choosing the aspects of what black people have to beautify themselves even more. I have so many friends who take tanning injections. So you inject yourself and you go bathe in the sun for 30 minutes and it makes you darker. They're willing to put their bodies and lives at risk just to take an element of something which they think is beautiful, but yet reject everything else.
Okay, so let's go back to the question then. What do you think needs to happen so we change as a society? Okay, I'll start first since you're...
I'll take my 21 seconds.
Since you need that 21 seconds to think about what you're going to say. But I think, first of all, this week, a lot of people have shared their stories about what it's like being black. And I think everyone should be listening to these stories, because I feel like black people have been trying to yell over the rooftop about the hardships that they've been facing. And everyone's just saying to them, calm down, like... change will happen soon. Just wait for it. But no, change needs to happen right now.
Speak up. Keep speaking up.
And I think we need to support black businesses. We need to support black leaders. We need to put more people of color in general in leadership positions, so that it's not just like the standard white, board of directors in these companies, in these places where they're making decisions. Because we know that from research that if there are people of color, if there is a diversity of people in management position, things will start to change.
I don't have an answer, like you said. This your answer is well said. I don't have an answer what needs to be done, but what I can say is that we just need to keep going. And I know it's really tough right now around the world, and a lot of shit is happening, but Asian people need to support this movement. We don't really have a choice. If Black lives don't matter, we don't matter. That's the thing. And it's not about Asian people right now. It's about Black lives that do matter.
Mm-hmm. And also, we do have an Asian and Black problem as well. So we need to address the issue that the way we treat Black people as well. It's not just the white people, it's Asian people as well. So please, next time, guys, if you ever have these thoughts, okay, it's not okay, but think why you feel this way. And I think we need to really evaluate why we have these thoughts about, Black people. You've been, I guess, like, you've grown up to have these thoughts, but we can change those thoughts and we can change the way we do things and the outcomes of them. So let's please listen to Black people and hear what they have to say and just support them. We will definitely drop a few links to some resources and some more info that you can read about this movement. So please go and read them. They'll be in the show notes. But otherwise, this is all the time that we've had for this week. I think we've definitely had a very passionate discussion and gone way over time. As always, if you enjoyed listening to the show, make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on Acast and Spotify, and also go and leave us a review because we would love to know what you guys think about the show and help spread the word. Tell someone about the show and let's get through this together. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
This is Acast Recommends. Every week we pick one of our favorite shows, and this is one we think you're gonna love.
This is Creepy, a collection of the most famous and disturbing stories and urban legends from the deepest, darkest corners of the web. Hosted by creator John Grills and a cast of creepy narrators. New stories added every Sunday. Listener discretion is advised. Listen free on your favorite podcatcher or find us at bloodydisgusting.com/podcasts.
Acast is home to the biggest podcasts from the U.S. and around the world. Subscribe to this show and hundreds more now via Acast or wherever you get your podcasts.